Malibu, and welcome to the Get Radical Show. Our mission is to empower you to love the skin you're in, and we know how you're feeling on the inside is totally seen by the world. So in life, we've got to go more than skin deep to get radical results and nothing less. Today we're here with a dear friend, beautiful woman, and a radical inspiration, Mariza Villarreal. She is not only a public figure, but an absolute inspiration in a community where she is an inspired athlete with the confidence and tools, arming women to be comfortable in their own skin. At the height of her stardom, she was forced to put her dreams and health and fitness on hold after the death of her parents, but she never gave up on her radical goal. Almost a decade later, she picked up right where she left off and worked towards becoming a professional bodybuilder competitor. She started an Instagram account. She journaled her experiences, her authentic truth, and the real process and experiences of what she was going through. Through that, she accumulated a following over 1 million people who she aims to inspire daily. Mariza, welcome, and thank you so much for sharing with us your radical story. And I know there's so many things that you have that you give on a daily basis, and I was hoping to bring some of your keys from taking trauma and turning it into a triumph.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Well, we're so thrilled, and you just really are a radical gal on a journey and have so many things to share. We talk a lot about saying the radical yes in life and how we are on the bleachers so many times and we don't get off the bleachers and get on the field and just live. What was that moment when you said the radical yes, and where did it take you?
I was living in Las Vegas. I just was tired. It's exhausting to wake up and relive traumas. At the time, I had 3 children. And,
how old were you?
In my 30s, maybe, in my 30s.
And you had your first child when you were, what, 15?
15.
Yeah, it's quite young.
So I had 3 children at the time, and I just woke up one day and I was tired of feeling tired, and I was tired of carrying the weight, and I just turned in my bed and I decided to have a conversation with God. And so there was nobody in my room, and I had a conversation by myself quietly, and I woke up and just decided at that moment I was going to change my life and turn everything around. And so I used fitness as the fuel to take me where I needed to go. But it was the moment of just waking up and just being like, I'm just tired of doing this. I'm tired of being this. I'm tired of feeling like this. And I know there's more. Mm-hmm. So I just opened up and had my first conversation with God. Don't think I had spoken to him in like 10 years.
Wow. So you just had a major moment of faith.
Yes.
And it just turned everything around for you.
Everything.
Well, I know, many of you out there, and I know for myself, there's a lot of times in life I'm tired of being tired. Yeah. I mean, I've told you that. It's like there's so many stressors and so many things going on. And I know that, sometimes we feel like we're stuck, right? You just feel like you've gotten stuck. And you talked earlier with me when we were taking a walk about like getting stuck in our trauma. And so where was your trauma where you got stuck, where maybe some of the other people, and myself included, can resonate with how you can start to relive that and what we do reliving our traumas?
So I got stuck for almost 8 or 9 years. Maybe it wasn't in a trauma, it was just in an anger. I had been through a lot of things as a child, and I think the breaking point was losing my mom. She was 42 when she passed. So I lost my mom, and then less than like 60 days later, my dad committed suicide. So it was just being stuck in that anger. When you deal with suicide as a child, when your parent commits suicide, you go through a lot of internal feelings like abandonment. You just kind of feel like, why would somebody who is supposed to be your parent and care for you and love for you do something like that, and leave you? Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of inside things that I didn't deal with because the anger it almost worked as a protector. It feels better to feel angry than it does to sort through emotions and say, it wasn't my fault, or he did love me, but these were his choices. It's easier to feel that comfort of anger. And I think a lot of times people don't discuss that the blanket of like being the villain or the blanket of anger is easier to take on
Than the pain or the
than to have to
sadness.
work through all of that stuff, because that's a lot of stuff emotionally to work through. So I took on the anger, and
How old were you?
I was probably like 23 or 24, and I had a 15-year-old brother that I then had to take care of. So I had to take care of my boyfriend at the time who was sick, my kids. My parents raised my 15-year-old. So he just, he was raised by them because I was 15. So now I'm dealing with his emotional, losing his parents. He was 6. Because to him, he lost his parents too. So I have to deal with him, my brother, and it was easier to take on anger. So I got stuck not in the wheel of trauma, but more of like, it's better to just stay angry, and it's better to just be mad and just turn to a vice of like alcohol or prescription drugs or whatever it is to stay in this phase of like, I don't want to deal with, I don't want to explain to my 6-year-old why he lost his parents. I don't want to explain to my brother what's going on. Like, I just want to be in this band-aid of like alcohol and just unhealthy living. And I was very angry, and I didn't want to work through anything past that, but it does get exhausting. So I didn't get stuck in a trauma. I got stuck in the anger, in the comfort of anger, if that makes sense. And you can't progress when you're in that. You don't progress anywhere. You just, every day you wake up and you put a Band-Aid on it, and you go through this fake life. Mm-hmm. So you get stuck there. And I think that's where I got stuck, is not wanting to deal with anything.
Yeah, anger is a very powerful, powerful energy that we can harness to give us the drive to get through something when we're going through a hard time. But you're so right that when you get stuck in it, you dampen your emotions. It's hard to open your heart. It's hard to be soft. It's hard to be vulnerable, hard to let others in.
Yeah.
So you're handicapped in so many areas of living that full, complete life.
Right.
So how did you blow through that? You're stuck in anger phase. How'd you melt the ice in the icy heart?
I say this to people all the time, that there is a power in the belief of God and just letting go and saying, I don't have all the answers. I don't need all the answers, but my faith is going to get me there. And it's so powerful. And I think sometimes people just really don't let go of everything that's weighing you down and flow. In the moments of being in the anger and the pain, there was nothing good. Nothing was coming my way. It was just all bad people, bad things, bad life experiences. But the moment that I made the decision to put my faith back into God and be like, I want to be with you, I want you to guide me, my life completely changed. In that moment, it's that easy. And it's not this hard thing, it's not this process. It happened in a second. It was just, I'm going to give it to you, and then I'm going to work through it. And it was that.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I think I've heard that, many times from a lot of people. I mean, Rachel and I have traveled all over the world, sharing with women and people and doing like radical empowerment seminars. And we don't just talk about our skincare, we talk about getting radical and creating a life you love. And it was incredible how many people had, when we were doing vision boards, right, where they had to say, okay, what is it you really want? What really excites you? They would come up and start crying and say, I had forgot to dream. I didn't have hope anymore. Mm-hmm. I had just shut myself off. I've been numb to what's possible in my life. And so for you, giving it up to a power higher than yourself, sounds like it gave you an amazing release to know you weren't walking alone.
Right, and that's what I needed, because I always feel like, as a child, my parents were heroin addicts. So they were just kind of not, I think heroin's one of those drugs that you check out. Mm-hmm. So you always feel alone. And a lot of times I had to take care of my brother. I had to make sure that he ate. So when I was 15, I was tired of feeling alone, and so I wanted to have a baby. I wanted to have a baby because, not because I was with somebody I loved and I, wanted this child, but I wanted somebody to love me, and I wanted to love somebody back, and I wanted to make that family. And so I had a baby, and I did love him, and he does love me in his way now. He's 25 now, but I wanted to feel that. I wanted to feel like I was not alone. And so you keep trying to do these things, but the answer is the energy. That there is an abundance of love. There is an abundance of all these things that are already with you. You can't make them. It's already within you. You have to tap in and find those things. So through that journey, I was able to find that. And I love my son. I don't regret that. But it was with me all the time. I just, at the moment, in those moments, I didn't know how to find it. I was lost.
And so you look to the outside as opposed to the inside, and finding your own personal connection.
Right.
And you had a child.
Yes.
But I mean, my goodness, I mean.
And can you imagine? I was 15 and I had this dream I was gonna have this child and he was gonna love me, and he came out and he's crying, and I'm 15 and I can't get a job and I don't know how to change a diaper, and it was not what I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like, it was my baby and he's just gonna come out and we're gonna love each other and it was gonna be great, and it was not that. It was not that.
Well, Mariza, if it makes you feel any better, I don't have children. I tried for a long time, and because I couldn't have kids, I had dogs, right? So I had an American Eskimo, and I said, that's it. If I can get this dog pregnant, and I can make the little puppy come out, and I can lick its nose and just swaddle him from a tiny little non-furry gerbil, and just pet him and take care of him, she will be the most beautiful thing in the world. And of course, dogs that normally have 8 puppies, she had 1.
Oh.
And you've met her, Tia the terrorist. So here I'm going to have this little one thing that'll love me and love everyone. It'll be the perfect puppy, because of course if I love it to little smithereens, it'll be perfect. And she's the one that had you cornered in your room and wouldn't let you come out. And when you put your hand down, it goes, yeah. So we never know what pops out.
Right.
Exactly. We never know what life is going to give us.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you've almost in 7 minutes gone through it all. We've gone through, God bless them, drug addicted parents, early death at 42, a father who commits suicide, a son that you had at 15 so that you wouldn't be lonely and you had someone to always love you and you had the stability. And here you are one day lying in bed and saying, I'm tired. Now, I get that. I get being tired after that. I mean, that's unbelievable. That's more tired than most storyline scripts that I've heard. So you look up, you said, that's it. I'm tired of being tired. I'm done with that. We're on our way to change our life. And you did.
Right.
And so you used the fuel of fitness to turn everything around.
I just kind of said, if I'm drinking all the time and I'm living this toxic lifestyle, what is the thing that I can do that's going to keep me on track? And I'm a very extreme person. Everything I do is extreme. I'm like super hyper focused on goals. So when I said I'm going to do fitness, I didn't just say like I'm going to go to the gym and start working out. I was like, I'm going to be a bodybuilder and I'm going to go to do a show and I'm going to win and I'm going to get the best coach in the world. Like, who's the best coach? So I reached out to a friend of mine and he's like, I have an Olympic coach for you. And so I hired him. We went through a 12-week prep. I did my very first show and I won. I think people followed me because they didn't think they were like, yeah, you're not going to be a bodybuilder, like, but we'll watch you because we're going to wait to see. They were really shocked that I followed through with it, first of all, because the prep is extremely hard. You do a lot of finding yourself through competing. I tell my girls now who are on their own fitness journey, like, compete, because it'll start to peel things back on you and it'll show you the strength that you really have in you that you don't think that you have. And so there was a lot of moments in my prep where I just like had to work on myself to get to the other side of that. And I did my first show and I had an amazing coach and I won my first show, and it was it was amazing.
So when you were talking about people were wanting to see you fail, you had told me you actually you went on Instagram and you started an Instagram account.
Mm-hmm.
And how many years ago was that?
It was when Instagram first launched. So like, I think it's been like 6 or 7 years ago now.
Okay. And you just started to journal your process and what you were going through.
I just started to post my workouts, my meals, kind of like what I was doing. As my body was changing, I was posting it.
Mm-hmm. And through that, you developed thousands of raving fans that said, well, if she can do it with everything she's gone through, maybe I can.
Yeah. I was a mother of 3, so I really stressed that. I was really trying to get more women to see that even after you have kids, you can still go after your goals if you make the time for them. Like sometimes we feel like we have kids and that's it, and our life is over. Like we live for our children. And maybe sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not intentional. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to inspire other women to do the same thing, because what I got from it was I was a different person. I wasn't the same person that I was back then. And I want every woman to experience that. So I did it to really just try to inspire more women to go after it.
And so that must have required a lot of discipline.
It did. It was hard. It wasn't easy. I'll never say it was easy. It wasn't.
Yeah, but worth it.
It was so worth it. It was I didn't even go into that first show to win. The minute my heels hit the stage, I cried. Like as soon as they call girls out, so they put 30 people behind the stage, and the minute my heels touched the wood floors, I just burst out into tears because I did it. I made it to the very end.
I was just thinking, as you're sharing this, whenever you're thinking you're having a hard day, I want you to re-listen to this podcast, because I know for me, just listening to this, and we know each other and I adore you and we've spent time together, but sometimes when you stack it up like that, one thing after another, and you see how someone's life unfolds, and like you were saying, peeling that onion, it's pretty incredible, everything that you've gone through. So take me now, like what is in the morning, we talk about having a goal, like a radical GPS, and having coordinates. So wherever you are in the world, every time we talk about saying the radical yes, and saying the yes when other times you might normally say no, but you take that yes and you say another yes. And all of a sudden, instead of ending up here where your life might have dictated, 1 degree at a time, you end up over here and being so clear where you want to go. So what is your daily radical reset, where you wake up in the morning and you've got a routine that you stick to because you know it's taking you in the direction of your dreams?
It changes. My morning routine changes all the time. But what never changes is opening my eyes, being so grateful just to wake up, and then having a small conversation with God. I can't express to you how much that conversation, and like I said, if you don't believe in God, like the higher power, the universe, the divine, whatever it is that your belief is, have that small conversation, because it changes your whole day. Waking up and just thinking, I'm just grateful, like so grateful just to wake up today, will change your whole day. Because a lot of times, majority of people wake up, reach for their phone, open up emails, and then they start to look at, you start to take on everybody else's problems. And then you go about your day in that mode, but it changes you. If you would just take that, like, it's a few seconds of I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I woke up. I'm grateful that I'm here. And then I have small conversations with God. And it's funny, anybody who's watching this, Liz has the most amazing house, and it's not her house, it's the energy that her house has created. And I probably woke up the most grateful one day when I woke up in that bedroom, and the sun is coming up and the door is open, and I just sat up in bed, and I couldn't think of anything else. I just came to tears, just so grateful to be there in that bed and watching that sunset. Because there were times when I was younger, before I healed, that I tried to commit suicide. And there were times that even after I thought about committing suicide. And then you get to this space where you're waking up and the sun is coming up, and I'm in this beautiful house with this amazing woman who's so inspiring, and she's just built this network of inspiration. Like, you're just a light, and I'm grateful to be in your space. I'm grateful to wake up in your home, and I'm just grateful to be here, because I could have missed that. So waking up and being grateful, I think, and that's really what my morning routine, that's consistent. It changes.
Gratitude.
It changes, but the gratitude is always there.
And a conversation with
Right.
God.
Yes.
I like when you say a little conversation.
It's just a small conversation. It doesn't, because sometimes we'll be like, well, I don't have time to pray for 5 minutes, or we find it to be a hassle, but that little conversation of like, thank you, for letting me be here and walk with me today. It's just small conversations.
I love that. Well, you're a true jewel and a light to have around me. You've just stepped in. This is one of our first podcasts, and we had a couple of others previously, and if it wasn't for Mariza, we've had no lighting, no sound. She's like, okay, I got this. I talk to people all the time on camera. We're like, but don't we need a film crew? She's like, you got this. Let's just be real. Let's just be radical. Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, you're such a giving soul, and she's got me on her health and fitness plan, so I'm radically rocking it out. Whatever she tells me to do, I say the radical yes. I do not pass go. I just go right what she tells me to do. I don't even ask questions anymore. It's like, you want me to drink that? I drink it. You want me to eat that? I eat it. What time? Got it. Before it and after the gym, I'm with you, girl. So, wow, that's amazing. And so, well, we actually had, you are one of our first radical ambassadors. Really because of your authenticity. And that's what touches me, and it's touched so many people. That's why you have the ability and the God-given gift to touch a lot of lives. And that's what we're here to do with Radical. And that's why Rachel and I mean, when we created Radical, we never intended to sell it. We'd been in the skincare business, as you know, for years. And it was just not until my sister developed rosacea and I just understood what gravity was that we were like, whoa, need to get back to daddy and figure this, fix your skin thing out, which we did. And then we said, okay, well, that's nice. It can sit on our counter, but unless we do something with the assets that we have, unless we're able to give those, they're really not worth a lot. If you don't have a legacy, if you're not sharing something, if, I look at it sometimes like every day, if you were to write your eulogy today, what would that look like? Like, what would people say about you? Before that I was in investment banking, and I was doing a lot of that, running on fear, maybe running on anger, running on accomplishment, running on not being enough, right? And then I started to integrate my female side, that soft side, the spiritual side, and acknowledging there was something greater than myself and that I needed to take what we had and give it to others. So we never intended to sell Radical. And it's people such as yourselves that said when we first met, excuse me, I don't really use skincare. And I've got all the biggest doctors in the world banging down my door because they want me to promote their skincare. And I go, no, I'm not interested. But I said, well, just try Radical. You'll see the difference. And of course, you're already absolutely beautiful. But it was exciting to me when you said, okay, I swear, you sent me a text message. I still have the text message. I should actually read it to you, but you said, Liz, I swear, my skin has never looked so good. I even told my husband, can you believe this? Can you believe this is my skin? And I tell you, I've turned down anything and everything, but I want to get Radical with you. And I was like, oh my God, it's so exciting and so inspiring. So you're on this journey as a founding ambassador, which is really exciting to us because you'll be able to go more than skin deep. We'll be able to use radical coaching and support and love
Right.
to uplift others so that they can create the life that they love radically.
Yes.
And that's why we wrote our book at Radical, and we look to feature you in the next book because you have so many jewels of wisdom that you're able to authentically share and impart to others. That really is what this is all about.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm to give you your radical billboard, right? Mariza up in lights, what does your radical billboard say?
I think my word would be resilience. I feel like people feel like because you come from a specific background or because you're however you're born into whatever it is that you are, whether it's within you or it's an outside circumstance, you feel like you're stuck in that and you can never become anything else. I mean, I was I felt like a throwaway for a long time. I felt like I didn't matter. I was molested by a family member at 6. My parents were heroin addicts, so they were checked out. When I finally did decide to have a baby, I had a baby with the most abusive man ever. I was in the hospital. I lost my first baby. For 3 years, I stayed in this relationship. So by the time that I got to whatever point it was, I just felt like I didn't matter. I felt unloved. I felt because I had gone through all these circumstances that I didn't matter. And it's a funny thing that I still work through today because I feel like I come places, we had this conversation, and I don't want you to do anything special for me.
And you steal my joy. To love you up, you steal the gift of someone else to give.
I do. So I think that people feel like I've been through this, and that, and then this is all I am. And they don't ever see themselves as, once you work through that, you let it go, you share it, you can become a light for other people. Sometimes we feel like we go through certain things and then we're just in with everybody else. We don't matter. We're irrelevant. And it's not you. It doesn't matter where you come from or who you are. At any moment, you can be a light to people. And you have a bigger mission. We're all given a bigger mission where God puts us through the fire so that we can come out and show others how to get out of it. And there are still people sitting and they just don't know how to get out, and they need to find that light. And it could be you, and it could be you, and it could be the person watching this. So don't get stuck. I think my word would be resilience, because even though I've been through all these things, rather than being a victim, I use these things to tell other people, yes, if you've been through, molestation or rape or any of these things, you can still come out and be an amazing person. You can still be a light, like you still matter and you're loved. And I think that's the hardest thing for people to take. So my word would, I think if I did a billboard and I had to pick a word, it would be resilience.
I love that. I love that. And you definitely are the definition of resilience, no doubt about it. So I'm home right now. I'm feeling stuck. You say, be resilient, get unstuck, take steps. What are some of the simple, basic steps that you could tell someone out there listening? Just do these things, like 1 or 2 or 3 things.
Where to start? So for me, I wrote a book about my childhood, and I really unwrapped every single thing and every single emotion. I'm not a good writer. I'm a little bit dyslexic, so I audioed it for my sister, who is a writer, and then we went through it together, and it took a very long time, and we cried, and there was a lot of things, my sister's like in her 40s, and there was a lot of things that she didn't know about me and that I didn't know about her, and there was a lot of things that I put blame on her for, and she had no idea. And we had a lot of closure between us. So writing the book and journaling, because we have these journeys in our mind of what happened, but when you start to write it down and you start to share it, you'll find that you're missing pieces. And when you put those pieces back in, it almost heals the trauma. When you say things out loud, and I'll give you an example, there's a lot of women who go through rape and they never speak of it. They carry the guilt, and it hurts worse to never speak of it and never let that out. But when you say it out loud, when you write it on a piece of paper, even if you don't want to tell anybody, I work with a lot of Hispanic women, and being molested as a child is so, it happens all the time, and it's within our family. And so we're shamed because you can't tell on your uncle, you can't tell on your brother. Don't tell anybody because it'll shame the family. So we have to keep it. And I always tell my girls, write it down, read it out loud to yourself, and then set it on fire. Like, release it out into the world. But that release is for you. So if I could give anybody the first step to healing, it would be to start to write down your traumas, or write down the things that you feel like are holding you back, or all those things that you hold in that you can't tell anybody. Because every single person that walks the earth has something that they've never told anybody because they're ashamed of, or they feel they have an emotional attachment to it. Write it down, say it out loud, because that's a release. And that's where I would definitely start, because the book is what set me free. And I feel like every time I share my stories on Instagram publicly, it's more of a release. And people are like, it's crazy that you shared that story. Like, I would never do that. And I don't think that they're understanding how that healing works.
How it's a gift to you to
If you
even
give,
share it.
if
and
you
then
give,
if touching them, that's
you
right.
receive back. And you
That's
have
right.
to give. And that's my way of giving, is to become relatable, so that other women don't feel like I'm the only one who's ever gone through that.
Funny enough, when Rachel and I wrote Get Radical together as sisters, and we're 6 years apart, we had a very similar experience where she perceived my childhood, which was also hers, but of course when I'm 12, she's 3, right?
It's
when
our
I'm
perception.
18, she's 12.
Right.
We had such different perceptions of what was going on.
Right.
And that really was an interesting
Don't you
dynamic.
have moments of like, did you grow up in the same house as
No,
I
we
did?
didn't.
Like,
No, actually, we
'cause
didn't.
her perception is so different than yours, and you're just like, and there's things that I tell my brother, I'm like, don't you remember this? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about right now. And I'm like,
I know.
So
they
we
were
all-
so easy on her. I was the one that they were practicing parenthood on. I was the one crawling out of windows and crawling in with them sitting there going, oh, nice for you to come home at 5 a.m. Oops. Being locked in my room and grounded for a year. Okay,
Wow.
that's working. Rachel's like the little goody-goody two-shoes, not. So
But I
somehow-
bet her perception is completely different.
It is. Well,
Yeah.
no, she saw me as like the problem child of the family, the rebel. Like, what is wrong with my sister? Just get a grip. Why do you cause so much trouble? Meanwhile, she did like 20 more million things that would have been in the bad column that no one found out about. So I guess she's just a little smarter and slicker than I am. But so writing it down, that's a really good one. And one of the things, it's great to release it. And one of the things we talk about a lot is writing down what you want. So you were lying in bed and you said, I'm tired of being tired. And you had a small conversation with God, and that's it. You flipped a switch and you said, I'm choosing to reinvent myself, to reinvent my life. I don't have to be the definition of my story.
You don't have to be your mistakes.
Yeah.
You don't have to be
And
the
you
things
can
that
write a
happen to
new
you.
story.
And you
so
get to write a new story.
That's right. And what it is you want and who it is that you choose to be.
And the hardest part is people will always come in, always on a daily basis, and remind you of who you used to be. And don't forget that you used to be this person, and that used to stop me. That used to stop me, even though I was on this progression and I was going forward and I was changed and I was helping people. The minute somebody came in and said, well, don't forget you used to be this person, I remember, here's this to remind you, I would break down in my car and I would just start crying, and it would stop my whole day. One person would destroy my whole day because of the guilt that I felt. I'm not my mistakes, and I'm not your version of who you think I am. I'm not, even though you keep wanting to come in and remind me, I know, but I also know that I'm loved, and I'm loved no matter what, and I'm always forgiven, and I don't have to be that, and I get to move on. Like, you get to move on. It doesn't matter what you did or who, you get to move on. That's the gift. You get to wake up the next morning and be like, I'm going to be somebody else and be that. But
Because you said so. Turn the
but
page.
but part of that is getting past that, because I've seen people say, I want to change, but the minute somebody comes in and goes, oh, well, remember this, they stop and they go, you know what, you're right. And they backpedal back into that person. Because they feel like, well, why should I try to go forward if you're going to keep reminding me? Then I'll just go back to being that person. So it's a fight.
It is.
It's strength, and it's something that you have to work on daily.
and surrounding yourself with people that actually are emulating where you want to go.
Yes.
It's really, really important. You know, they say the 5 people that you surround yourself with are who you're going to become or who you are. And it's very, very important. And as you're going through your life and you're making these monumental changes, even as you're making baby steps, you will see the people, some of the people in your life will drop out, and it's good that they do, because they have outgrown your journey and you've outgrown them. And you can honor and love them for the part that they played, but it's really important, if they don't want to up-level where they are, to expand your network, expand your social circles, stay with people on a very high vibration. As a matter of fact, earlier when we were talking, you were saying in the beginning, and this was happening, that was happening, I seemed to just be attracting everything to me that was negative, 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 like the worst of the worst kept coming. And that's that vibration. So staying with people on a high vibration, keeping your music on a high vibration, whatever makes you feel good, staying in gratitude. Even gratitude, there's so much research that shows that it can be more powerful at removing depression than even antidepressants.
Yes.
So writing that list of gratitude, 5 new things every day to start to train your brain to look for the good as opposed to the bad.
Right.
Look for the good in you instead of your past that you want to turn the page and go forward. Well, this is amazing. There's so many other things that we want to talk about and will continue to talk about. And I want to do this later because it's really good when we have slumber parties. It's like the party never ends. So there's such a wealth of love and information that you have to give. And actually, we're going to start some radical giving right now. So since you're a radical skincare lover, and for all of those that are watching, I think whatever your favorite product of the day is, we will offer them today when they go to our Instagram and they click on the podcast, or they go to us on YouTube and they click on and subscribe. We will be choosing one person this week that will receive the Radical Secrets, our top bestsellers, and we will also select 15 people, the first 2,000 out of the first 2,000 that subscribe, and it's whatever your favorite product is, they deserve.
Amazing. I didn't realize how extremely important the exfoliating pads are and how much they change your face. Like I had, we all are guilty of putting our phone on our face when we speak, or just like we touch our face when we don't realize it. Like think of everything that you touched today, and then how many times you touched your face, or your kids. My son loves to touch my face, like, and he's 3.
Can you imagine where those paws have been?
And he's 3, and so, but the exfoliating pads are my favorite thing. I think it's the one thing that, like, it calmed everything, and that's the start of my regimen is the exfoliating pads. So that would be my favorite. That is my, I can't live without product, and I do not leave my house without that product.
Oh, awesome. And we're skincare and self-care, so we don't leave one behind. So it's really loving the skin that you're in, and we know it's how you're feeling on the inside that shines on the outside. That being said, we've been talking today about having pasts that are riddled with, whether it's self-doubt, negative self-talk, people that say negative things to you, past memories that don't support us, where we can stay stuck in trauma. And one of the things that you can do when you're using those exfoliating pads is use that mindful moment to literally take the pads, rub them over your skin. It's 10% alpha beta hydroxys and salicylic acid combined with our Trilocell technology, which has skin calming actives. Use that moment to actually wipe away the fear, the doubt, the worries. So whatever little yammering negative self-talk or doubt is in that mind of yours, as we go through our day, and everyone has it, I have it all the time, we have to be mindful to wipe that away.
Yes.
So that is a perfect gift for you to give.
Yes.
Is exfoliating, not just the dead skin that you're in, but removing it to rebirth, and also using that as a mindful moment to wipe away that fear, doubt, and worry.
Yes.
I just love and adore you. I thank you. I'm so touched by your brave authenticity.
Thank you.
It really is very moving. And I feel blessed to have you as my radical sister on a mission.
Thank you.
You're the best. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was unbelievable. Just because I'm not sitting here on set with Liz and Mariza, I was listening to her story and I'd never heard it before. It just blew me away. It was so heartfelt. What really struck me is she just allowed us into her life. She allowed us to get a glimpse of everything that she went through and all of her own struggles. And it really dawned on me is that all of those struggles and everything that she went through makes her who she is today and makes her like that amazing human being. She's now able to give us so much courage when we're looking at things in our lives where we can stop and say, wow, maybe today I just need to say a prayer, talk to a friend, write in my journal, or whatever that is to help us when we're having a tough time. So again, if you were inspired the way that I was today, go ahead and make a comment. Let us know how it's inspired you. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking all those comments at the end of the week and we're going to do a drawing. And one person will be getting a $100 credit to go have a shopping spree at radicalskincare.com. Thanks again for tuning in.